So I'm going to paraphrase one of Shantideva's pearls of wisdom that says, whatever joy there is arises from cherishing others, and whatever worldly suffering there is arises from cherishing myself. So this sentiment has become more relevant to me as I have been working alternatively on the two methods for generating bodhicitta, the 7-point cause and effect, and exchanging self and others. In relation to the second method of equalizing and exchanging self and others, I've been trying to understand better what it means to cherish others more than myself. And also, what are the thoughts and actions that get in the way of doing that? Of course, self-centeredness as a category is the big stumbling block, and I need to eliminate that from my mind. But trying to eliminate something that seems so big can seem daunting, considering that it just encompasses so many habits and distorted ways of thinking, which can be hard to identify considering how habituated I am to them. So for me, as I'm trying to understand how to cherish others, I thought it would be much more manageable and useful to focus on what happens on a day-to-day basis. Kind of to break down self-centeredness into some categories or smaller chunks that would be easier for me to understand, to observe, and to work with. So what are those that I came up with? So judgment and criticism, because it's easier to see the faults in others than myself. So that's where the mind goes, that's where it focuses. Also, seeing the faults of others keeps me distracted to the point that I cannot see my own. And criticizing and judging others is like the food for the self-centered mind. As long as these two are running the show, then the self-centered attitude lives on and checked and gets stronger, along with its sidekicks of arrogance and complacency. The other grouping was resentment and grudges. Because pointing the finger is not enough, the mind also has to hold on to whatever perceived pain and the misery that brings, and uses them as a rallying point for self-centeredness to justify its distorted way of thinking. Because when there is a feeling of deep emotional hurt in the mind, there's a stronger sense of there being a real self that has been wronged somehow. And that feeling paves the way for self-centeredness then to indulge in all kinds of unskillful behavior under the guise of wanting to feel better. The other grouping is expectations. These are a setup for disappointment. When I expect others to meet my needs and the wants or my shoulds and musts, then I don't, and they don't, then that opens the door for self-centeredness to assert itself as the savior of the day. How? By making me believe that others are untrustworthy, by making me think that the only way for me to be happy is by doing and getting what I want, when I want it, how I want it, and disregarding everyone else. The other culprit in this mixture is proliferations, and that's imputing wrong motivations, second guessing, holding tightly to a negative image of a person. These are all based, of course, on my own ideas and values and norms, etc. And as a result, there is no space in my mind to have a realistic view of the other person. And there's definitely no room for compassion or for understanding to arise. Another one of these old friends is having a narrow view of others. Here, the self-centered attitude sees everyone from the narrow lens of how they relate to me and my preferences, opinions, etc., without taking into account the other person's entire sphere of influence, their contributions to my well-being or to the well-being of others around me. And two of my personal favorites, the comparing mind and jealousy, which go together well, like two birds of a feather. And when these are present in my mind, there is no way to relax. I have to be checking myself with others, like, oh, that person is doing that. How can I now overtake them? How can I do better? How can I show? And there is no relaxation, there is no peace. Also, there is no way to connect with the person. I'm so busy competing and being jealous. And again, these feed this self-centered attitude because it's all about me. It doesn't have anything to do with the other person's qualities or talents. It's all about me and what I lack. And underlying all of this is really a lack of introspective awareness that allows the mind to run unchecked into all of these other distorted ways of thinking without applying antidotes or restraints. So, having worked for a while on these, using both purification practices and mind training tools, and I can see how strong these tendencies are and how much more work still needs to take place. And so, why do I want to eliminate these roadblocks to cherishing others? Why engage in this painstaking work of identifying and antidoting this and doing it over and over again? Because cherishing others is the doorway to all happiness. Cherishing others makes my life meaningful, and it brings harmony to society, to wherever I may be. And it's the root of all happiness for self and others. When I am questioning myself or doubting myself or thinking, why am I doing all this work, even if I don't see any immediate results, when I'm into that kind of a doubting mind of the self-centeredness, wanting to reassert itself and wanting to throw a wrench in the whole process, then I do something that I would like to invite you to do as well. And that is, imagine a world where everyone cherishes others more than themselves. What would that be like? There would be no wars, no racial discrimination, no inequality, no misogyny. Resources would be shared equally, so there would be no poverty, no famine. Poorer nations would have received a vaccine months ago. There would be no environmental degradation, no arms, strays, no weapons of mass destruction. There will be respect for all beings and for the environments that they all inhabit. There will be no drug cartels or guerrillas, no weapons of mass destruction. I already said that, but it's good to restate it. No hate and despair. And I don't know about you, but gee, that's the kind of world I would like to live in. So that's why I'm working towards that, a little bit at a time.